With the news that McFarlane has either lost or given up the license for DC Multiverse, a lot of people are kind of wigging out. A lot of people are celebrating. And a lot of people are bringing up Mattel's history.
Film reel labeled alternate ending, Luke's father is Chewbacca. Oh! Oh!
I mean, first off, let me point out, I do have a few McFarlanes, so I can make a few comments on McFarlane. This is, of course, Necron and Frankenstein. And I will say that, you know, one of the things I really don't like about McFarlane is the plastics he uses. I don't know, it's very rigid, very tough, and it's hard to bend figures and get them into good poses.
This will not stand.
A lot of people don't like the diaper, and I can understand that completely. And a lot of people just don't like the aesthetic. Now, I did buy these on clearance. And that's the thing, is that the very few McFarlanes I buy are almost always on clearance, and almost always one of the bigger figs. And one of the things that really bugs me about the way McFarlane packages is the negative space he has in his packages, especially with the big figs. It's like, what the heck? I mean, you can park a car in there.
I think there was actually more wind back then.
So with that in mind, what about expectations for Mattel? When people start pointing out how Mattel's DC Universe Classics was not handled well.
It stinks.
Now, I had a lot of DC Universe Classics, and I would say for its time, that is the asterisk, for its time, it was, and still is, a good line. Perfect? No, they had some wonky articulation points. They did use the same buck over and over and over. Yes, there was a lot of cost cutting there. Of course, if you remember history, you remember that the guy who was running the place said, kids don't notice that. So, we move on. We are now in an age where things have changed. Much as I hate the term kidults, it's what's running the fandom right now. And, you know, the accusations that Mattel only knows how to use one buck. So, I literally just looked around randomly on my shelf, and I found a bunch of guys who say, no, not really. You have Rey Mysterio, who is small, but he also flies. You have Dusty Rhodes, otherwise known as the Fat Man, and yeah, he's kind of fat. Muhammad Ali as a referee. You have, of course, the rowdy one, Roddy Piper, who is obviously different than Dusty or Ray. And you have the drunk Kevin Nash. Pardon me. Who, 7 feet tall, he was actually 6'10", but, you know, who's counting, right? And obviously is taller than everybody, and has a different body type than the rest. So, I guess what I'm saying is, yes, Mattel knows how to do different body types. And the rumor on the street is that the same guy who runs the wrestling right now is going to be the same guy running DC. Which would be awesome, because this is handled well. Now, observation that a lot of people don't note is that most of these figures are pinless. Now, if you look on the legs, there are pins. I will say I find Mattel is one of the best of all companies to hide pins. Now, if you want to turn that around, you can go look at Masterverse. There are no pins in Masterverse's legs. So, there we are. COD, on the other hand, still uses pins. Just saying. You can't deny it. And they're not very well hid. I don't know why. Everybody's gone pinless. I don't know why Mattel, with their wrestlers, will put pins in the legs. I'm still not sure about that. But, I mean, look. You gotta really kind of look to see the pins on that. They do a great job of painting over them. I mean, a lot of the guys wear knee pads. Maybe that's a justification. I don't know. From what I hear, it's not that it's any cheaper. So I don't know what that could be. But I did want to show, yes, Mattel has a lot more range than you think they do. Because wrestling is one of their top brands. And look at that. Now, does that mean that's what they're going to do for DC? Well, I mean, it's iffy. Because we still don't know. We don't know what they're going to offer. But I'm saying the possibility is there. Now, not all their figures have pinned legs. Muhammad Ali here, no pins. That was a recently tooled body, so part of it could be they're just getting reuse out of legs. Which is not a bad thing, because companies will do reuse to cut costs, and at the rate they produce these wrestling figures, they need to cut some costs, because they are coming out constantly. And if you pay attention, when you go to the store, you see the wrestling figures, they sell through really fast in most cases. There's a few that will linger, but most cases they do sell really well. So that's a consideration as well. Now, I think Mattel has the ability to make us some really good DC figures. If you've seen pictures of Nash, that's a pretty damn good likeness. Now, some people say this is a terrible look for Dusty. I argue it is. It actually is pretty accurate to Dusty. It's just an expression that is weird. They did a great job on Rey Mysterio's mask. Go look it up. I mean, it's really great. Their paints are really good. Really good. I've only had a couple ever had any paint flaws. And as you can see on Nash's tattoos, yeah, they use cloth goods. Right there, that t-shirt. Dusty's polka dot shirt. Piper, his kilt, and his shirt. Now, I'll grant you, I mean, these two are ultimates. Muhammad Ali is an ultimate. Ray and Kevin are elites. So, the elites are the ones that go for around 20 bucks. I say around 20 bucks because I've noticed like the Walmart exclusive Monday Night War line is stuck at 20 bucks. Every time I buy one in the store, it's 20 bucks. I think that's funny. The regulars are around 22. And in some cases, I think, yeah, like at Target, you occasionally hit 23. But that's the highest I've seen them is 23. Well, on the primary market. So, some people were arguing that. The Ultimates go for higher. They're 32. But I'm telling you right now, one Ultimate, you get as much or more as Maximum Spider-Man gives you. I've noticed that, sorry. For example, this Piper. He came with 2 sets of arms. One was the jacket, one was without the jacket. 2 t-shirts, a kilt, and 3 expressions. I'm saying, that's a lot. A lot of these guys come with their belt, with championship belts as well as those kind of items. Next time you get a chance, maybe if you're not looked at the wrestling section, look in those Ultimates. You kind of see where Hasbro's probably ripping us off. Because you know what? Dusty was all new tooling. And he had a ton of shit. I'm telling you right now. So yeah, it's been suggested that they should do a tier system just like they do with these guys. Do like a basic, elite type tier, which is kind of comparable to Marvel Legends that we get now. Ultimates, they go in about $33, and you get all kinds of shit with them, and they are like Supremo figures, and they have the best articulation. All Ultimates have butterfly joints anymore. Most of them are totally 100% pinless, and yeah, I mean, it's a good line. It's a good line. I know people want to poo-poo on it. They want to go, oh, I don't like wrestling. It's like, nobody's asking you to like wrestling. We're asking you to look at the toys for a second and realize it's not as bad as you're trying to make it out to be. I have seen people try to compare McFarlane's to current McFarlane's to DC Universe Classics, and it's like there's almost a decade and a half difference between most of these. It's not a fair comparison. Now, I mean, do something like compare Nash to Frankenstein with his pins, big ass pins. I mean, what the hell is pins doing in a modern action figure? Okay? That's what I'm saying. And again, I'm not saying that, you know, WWE is perfect. They have pins in a lot of their legs, but you know, they are phasing them out from the looks of it. And McFarlane's still using pins. No one knows why. Nobody can answer why. Most of his, I mean, let me see. I think Necron has double joints. Let me double check that. Yeah, he has double joints. Okay. I think McFarlane has moved on to double joints with most of his characters, but Frankenstein has single joints. Begs the question, why? You know, well, he's a bigger character. I don't know about that. Now, some people are going to say, well, McFarlane's more detailed. I give you that. Okay. Yeah, look at that Frankenstein. Look at Necron. Yeah, that's a lot of detail in them. But then again, it's not like there isn't detail here.
They're great!
Now then, addressing the elephant in the room, DC Universe Classics. Now, a lot of people are pointing at this because DC Universe Classics wasn't, quote, good. Well, I don't know, I like this Green Lantern. But, okay, they had big shoulder joints. Huge. Granted. Most of them had single joints in the arms and legs. Yeah. So did WWE at the time, when Mattel first took the license. Jack's Superstars almost all had single joints. So it was a thing. Marvel Legends were double joints. They were one of the first lines to do double joints. Now, they had some funky things like these hips that were kind of T-crotch, but then they had this separation that you could sidekick with. That was weird. Let me show you to you in practicality. See, it is weird. It is a weird joint. A very weird joint. And I have never liked that joint. Sorry, I had to take it off camera to do it. But I freely admit, these have a lot of flaws. These are also 15 years old at a time when the children still ruled the toy aisle. And as such, there probably were there were some definite corners cut on those figures. I'm not saying it is a bad thing, I'm not saying it is a good thing, I'm saying that it is a thing. And because of that, you have to take that in consideration. But in the past decade, we have had so many innovations to our toys. It's not funny. Pinless joints, which were the norm in Toy Biz days, at least for Toy Biz, are now a huge deal. Double joints are a huge deal. And admittedly, they should have been a bigger deal then, but they weren't. But I still think judging what will come based on something that is over a decade old, well, it's just not fair. I mean, seriously. Do we judge Indiana Jones figures based on the 3 3/4 inches that we got way back in that same time frame? I didn't hear anybody saying that. And by the way, I really wish they had given this line another shot when Dial of Dysentery came out. So what can we glean from all this? Well, to the DC diehards, it's not as bad as you think. To those downing Mattel, you're not paying attention. But one thing I do want to get in here some way, somehow, and I'm just going to shoehorn it in. So I've heard a lot of people say they're going to sell off their McFarlanes. And I'm sitting here like, all these years, if you've defended McFarlane since 2019, and then, as soon as the line's over, you just decide you're getting rid of it, were you really a fan? All lines end. All of them. There's not a toy line that can beat that. Entropy is for us all. There is no more Marvel Universe. And while some argue Transformers, they're not the same thing as they used to be. I have not seen a Transformer with die-cast metal in a very long time. The original Action Force. And maybe that's the thing. With the nostalgia bait we've been getting the past few years, yeah, I mean, people are just thinking we're going to redo DC Universe Classics. And hey, they might. But it will be holistically different than it was in the last iteration. It's a different company, different people, different ideals. Now, do I think Mattel's going to do it perfect? No. Not at all. They'll find a way to screw it up. And they'll probably start getting some heat for it. Because, you know what? While Mattel is not as bad as Hasbro, they have some moments. You don't believe me? Look at that stupid gate. Yeah. You can argue with me about the Nitro stage. Okay. But that stupid gate for Jurassic Park being crowdfunded and being that high priced, that was ludicrous. Now, how do I think it'll go? I think at the very least we'll get some interesting figures. And everybody thinks they're going to go out of the gate and give us the entire Justice League. Nah. They're going to spread that one out. They aren't dum-dums. At the same time, they're pretty smart. Because one thing Mattel does do well is they listen to the fans and they respond. Now, they may not respond quickly, and they may not respond the way a lot of us want them to, but they do respond. Unlike Hasbro, it just says, here, take our shit. Like it. But no, I do not think this will be perfect, but I think it's going to go a whole lot better than that. Because, honestly, that was one thing I really didn't like about Todd. Was he was just kind of like, I'm going to do my shit. I can't do a Todd McFarlane, by the way. I'm just going to do my shit, and this is what you're going to like. 18 billion Batmans. And that's what we got. Don't get me wrong, we'll probably still get 18 million Batmans, but probably be a little bit more space to it. So me, I'm excited to see what Mattel's going to do next. I'm sorry, I'm just not a McFarlane fan. I never have been, and I never will be. I'm not sad he lost the license, but I'm also not cheering that he lost the license. I do want to see what Mattel's going to do. That should be interesting. Besides that, it's the same old, same old. Same toys, different company. That's generally how it goes. Okay, that's my thoughts on the McFarlane Mattel craziness we've been dealing with the past day. Let's see what else craziness we can have. I might be adding on to this video, you never know, because we're seeing some crazy stuff coming out of Toy Fair. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to do all the YouTube stuff like subscribe. If this isn't the end, you'll know it. Take care.